From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, the director of the new documentary, Belushi, RJ Cutler. With Gina on news, Bald Bryan on sound effects, and Jake Paul drops by to recap Saturday's fight now. He wants more turn signaling and less virtue signaling. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but get on. You mandate. You get it on now. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Changing the format up a little bit because Jake Paul's going to call in a couple, and when he does, we'll just talk boxing. So we don't need Gina and Bryan for that. They're going to tune us. They're going to tune in at about the half-hour mark. And also at the top, I was watching a segment on Tucker Carlson last night, and Dawson had mentioned that he saw the segment on Tucker Carlson. I thought it was a very important segment. It's a longish segment, but you guys should all really listen to it, and we should break down the game film because it's very indicative of where we are right now, what's going on in the media, what's going on in our fucking society, and how these fucking people are lying to you about all of this shit to move along a political agenda. Now, you can say, well, all right, you're a conservative guy. That's just your opinion. No, these will just be the facts. This will be follow the science. Remember, we're going to follow the science. This has to do with kids going back to schools. I've been fucking saying this for months and months and months. There's no danger at schools. This doesn't affect kids. When you get into the brackets, when you break it down, out of 10 million people, amount of people over 80 that died, 1,000. Between 70 and 80, it's 500. Under, 60 and 70, it's like 250. By the time you get down to kids, it doesn't exist. This fucking disease doesn't affect kids. And they don't appear to be able to spread it either. So you have two arguments. One is we don't want to put the kids in danger. Well, I will now put you at ease and say it doesn't hurt kids. And then the second argument is, what about when they give it to fucking teachers? Well, I don't know. First off, what about when they go into a Trader Joe's? But also, apparently they don't carry it as well. Yes?
Well, the thing is a lot of people may be saying, well, you don't know. Well, every single study that has been done and has been available all summer specifically states that if children catch this disease, mild symptoms, they recover in 1 or 2 weeks, and they have pretty much a zero transmission. They do not spread the disease. It's all science.
Now, here's the question. Why do the people who never stop talking about the kids and the welfare of the kids and the schooling of the kids and the underprivileged kids and the brown kids in the inner city and how they're being disproportionately affected, why don't they give a fuck about those kids then? Those kids are sitting home rotting right now, and they have been for months. Number one, that's the number one thing you guys claim to care about, the kids.
Talk about disproportionately affected. The black and brown kids are the ones suffering the most right now.
Right. So you guys claim to care about the kids and the brown and black kids who are disproportionately fine. The second thing you tell us to do and never stop telling us to do is follow the science. Well, the science has been in for a long time about this, but you still don't want to reopen the schools, do you? Why not? Why wouldn't you want to reopen the schools? Why not? The science is in. You love kids. You should be the tip of the spear for reopening schools, but you're not into it. Maybe there's another agenda. I don't know. Could there possibly be another agenda?
There could possibly be one. I have an idea.
All right, well, let's play Tucker, and we'll listen to it for a little bit.
Oh, and one other thing. The country's public health establishment has tortured your children for 8 months for no apparent reason. That happened. That story has not received a lot of coverage, but has been confirmed tonight. The authorities have admitted it. 60 million American children languishing in their rooms since spring, sitting in front of screens, learning nothing, isolated from human contact, in many cases driven to mental illness. We can now report there was no reason for any of that. The experts were wrong. They had no idea what they were doing. But the most amazing part, and this really is the headline of the story, is that they knew they were wrong when they did it, But they kept lying about it, even as American children began to kill themselves. On Sunday in New York, city officials all but admitted this. They announced they're reopening elementary schools. Those are the same schools that they closed fewer than 2 weeks ago. Now, from a medical standpoint, nothing has changed. New York didn't get an early shipment of the Pfizer vaccine. There wasn't some groundbreaking new research paper that revolutionized our understanding of the coronavirus. Nothing like that at all. In fact, parents simply had enough. And they forced Bill de Blasio to admit the obvious. This virus is not a threat to children. As de Blasio put it in that weird euphemistic way that dumb people speak, quote, "We know that the health realities for the youngest kids are the most favorable."
All right, pause it for a second. That's the other thing they'll do, too. Like Fauci will go, for kids, it's not as devastating as adults. What do you mean not? It's nothing. It's nothing. It's not as favorable. It's more favorable than it is. It's not more favorable. It's a fucking zero burger, you fucking liars. And who are you people listening to these idiots? It's not clear what they want. It's not clear what their agenda is. It's not about science. It's sure as fuck not about kids. It's about teachers and unions and winning an election. Mm-hmm. But all right, keep playing it.
Well, yes, we do know that. We've known it for a long time. We knew it when Bill de Blasio shut down New York schools. And Tony Fauci knew it too, though he didn't say anything about it. Now he's decided to say something about it 8 months late. Here's Anthony Fauci on Sunday. And as you watch this, keep in mind that this man on the screen is leading our response, America's response to the coronavirus.
Close the bars and keep the schools open is what we really say. Obviously, you don't have one size fits all, but as I said in the past, and as you accurately quoted me, the default position should be to try as best as possible within reason to keep the children in school or to get them back to school. If you look at the data, the spread among children and from children is not really very big at all.
Hold on. It's not very, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You're a partisan fucking hack. It's not very big at all. How would this guy work in corporate America? Or sales weren't very big at all last quarter. No, you had no sales. Weren't very big at all. You hear the way these guys tie themselves up? And these guys aren't fucking long haul truckers. They're professionals with high degrees. Why can't they speak clearly? Not very big at all. It's not as devastating as it is to the elderly population. It doesn't exist in this group. Can you speak plainly? What about that message? You're the czar. Why can't you communicate better? Not very big at all.
Because if he communicated clearly, the last 8 months would prove that he's a fraud.
Right. All right. We'll keep playing.
One would have suspected.
Oh, I've always said you should keep the schools open, says the man in charge of America's coronavirus response to a nation whose schools have been closed for months. Right. Yeah, I always said that. Check the tape. Because, quote, if you look at the data, says Anthony Fauci. But wait a second. Why is this just now occurring to Tony Fauci? Isn't this Fauci's entire job to, quote, look at the data? Yes, it is. And yet somehow he never thought to do that. That's our corona czar. Over the summer, when the data looked the same as they do tonight, Fauci explained that he couldn't really say if kids should be allowed to go to school. It was, quote, complicated.
Yeah, he couldn't say whether you could go out and do BLM protests or not. But you couldn't go to a ball game, and you couldn't go to a church, and you couldn't go into a restaurant. But as far as the protest goes, can't say.
He also said that if you meet somebody on Tinder, it's okay to go screw them.
Right.
That's up to your own discretion.
Right, but he can't say anything about protests. All right, here we go.
Except it wasn't complicated. It wasn't complicated then. It's not complicated now. In April, many months ago, a study by the Journal of the American Medical Association found that school-aged children who get the coronavirus, quote, develop only mild symptoms and typically recover within 2 weeks.
All right, that's in April. That's in April. What's everyone doing languishing at home for the last 7 months? But all right, here we go.
Months later, same story. In June, a study in The Lancet affirmed this, quote, COVID-19 is generally a mild disease in children, including in infants. Other studies found the exact same thing. No study has found anything but that. There was never much question about it. But if you
Hold on. Remember, what's the first thing I started talking about, Max Patton, when this fucking thing hit and CNN started going bananas? What's the first thing I brought up?
Well,
age. Age.
Yeah.
Age. Stop fucking lumping the 87-year-olds with the 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. You're fucking everyone up. Of course, nursing homes need to be monitored, but schools, not nursing homes. Remember, I kept saying, why are they keeping the ages from us? What's up with the age? Because if we knew the age breakdown, we would have had a totally different take on this thing. We know it only affects elderly people and people with pre-existing conditions. We would have had a totally different set as a nation, mindset as a nation on this. They never told us the ages. They lumped the fucking kids in with the elderly. Sorry, go ahead.
For more evidence, check the death rates. Those are publicly available. Deaths are not hard to track. Consider the state of New Jersey. That's one of the states hit hardest by the coronavirus. So far in New Jersey, not a single school-aged child has died from the coronavirus. Not one. Many children have died from car accidents and fires and drug ODs and suicide. None have died from COVID-19. In California, the biggest state in the United States, 40 million people live there. A total of 2 people under the age of 18 have died from the coronavirus. 2. The numbers nationwide, according to the latest CDC numbers, 123 Americans under the age of 18 have died from the coronavirus. 123 out of 3.
My fucking daughter has anxiety over this whole fucking thing. She's 14. She has anxiety. It's PTSD now because you fucks at CNN promulgated this bullshit and all you fucking retard pussies fucking lapped it up. Just fucking got your ladle out and fucking lapped it up like fucking dogs. And then you spread it around. And then you went to go shame me, and you went to go shame Dr. Drew, and you went to go shame anyone who dared disagree with your false narrative.
And then, ironically, they go into their parents' basements and blast Rage Against the Machine.
Ugh. All right, keep playing.
123 Americans under the age of 18 have died from the coronavirus. 123 out of 350 million. We shut the schools anyway, crushing millions of kids, affecting their futures in ways we can't even understand at this point, but it's clear it's bad. Really bad in some cases. So the question is, why did we do this? And the answer is to save the teachers. The teachers' unions pushed this, and their servants in the Democratic Party obeyed. They're the single largest donors to the Democratic Party, so of course they did. So unionized teachers get to stay home collecting checks for their 9-month-a-year jobs. These classrooms are just too dangerous. It's like the Battle of the Bulge 5 days a week. And that's exactly what they've done. But what do the data say about this? Well, for teachers under the age of 50, and that's the vast majority of them, the odds of surviving a coronavirus infection are roughly 99.98%. But we should tell you that for teachers under 70, the risk of dying escalates to a terrifying 99.5% chance of survival. And by the way, if teachers do get sick, it likely won't be from teaching. Children appear not to spread the coronavirus.
All right.
Not effective.
Where's the science? Where are the numbers? I know you guys love numbers and science. We're always going to follow the science, right? Right, CNN? Right, LA Times? Right, New York Times? It's going to follow that science. How come we never hear these numbers? It appears the classroom is about the safest fucking place you can be. I think it goes beach, classroom, and then after that, morgue, because you're fucking dead. And you died of old age. What? We're going on airplanes, people. We're fucking flying in airplanes. Can't go into a classroom? Sounds like the safest place you could be. All right, keep playing.
We've known this for a long time. Back in May, researchers in Europe found, quote, children do not appear to be drivers of transmission. And we argue that reopening schools should be considered safe, accompanied by certain measures. Again, none of this is new. Tony Fauci, the data guy, knew it at the time. And so did anyone in the news media who could read, which is still most of them. And yet they kept lying about it, all of them. In July, here's just one example, a panel of physicians and experts on infectious disease went on television to explain that going to school isn't dangerous for anyone. They would send their own kids. Watch the news anchor's reaction.
All right, we've seen this one. Everyone goes, I'd send my kid back to school, and the fucking CNN guy's like, oh, well, that's not our narrative. I thought we vetted you guys. We didn't do a very good job of vetting the experts because they said the kid should go back to school. What's your job, CNN? What are you doing? Are you a news outlet? You going out, turning over rocks, looking up stories, crunching data? Is that what you're doing? Doesn't feel like a lot of newsing going on with you guys. Feels like a narrative. Doesn't feel like news. It's narrow news. It's no longer news. Because if CNN was doing news, then they would have been screaming about opening the schools 4 months ago. Go ahead.
They all said yes, said the newsreader, feigning shock. Can you believe that? Doctors have concluded their own children should go to school. They must be crazy. They're crazy. What do the doctors know about coronavirus? What was this about? And of course, you know the answer. It was about Donald Trump. Donald Trump, in this case, agreed with the doctors. Therefore, the doctors had to be mocked and ignored. Here's what the president said about schools in July.
We have to open our schools. Open our schools. Stop this nonsense. We open our schools.
All right, let's break down CNN. Trump said hydroxychloroquine may be effective, and you guys all waged a war against some inert drug that's been around for 60 years and billions of doses have been given out worldwide, and that is safe to take while you're pregnant. So that's the kind of newsing that went on with hydroxychloroquine. Then the next story was Trump said open the schools. By the way, you can disagree with Trump about many, many, many things, but you can still go, I agree with him on opening schools. But then you launched a war against opening schools. That's the way you do news. You just pick someone you dislike, let them say something, and then attack two things that are patently true and patently obvious. Hydroxychloroquine, effective, certainly not dangerous. Remember you were talking about how dangerous it was? What about a follow-up story about how dangerous hydroxychloroquine is? Any news stories about that? All the people that have been affected because they took it when we told you how dangerous it was? And now we're going to attack opening schools. Why? Science? Data? Why? Because Trump said it. That's not a news. You're not a news outlet if that's the way you conduct yourself. Now, I don't blame them. What are you people watching them for? You think you're getting news from them? All right, the news you got from them was hydroxychloroquine is dangerous, it's completely safe, and schools shouldn't reopen. Oh, there's your news. All right, go ahead.
Stop this nonsense, we reopen our schools. Now, in point of fact, as a scientific matter, that turned out to be sound policy based on sound data. But the media told us the exact opposite of that. One headline at CNN warned of, quote, the very clear dangers of Donald Trump's push to reopen schools.
Very clear.
Google didn't censor that as misinformation. It should have. Another headline called out, quote, Donald Trump's mind-bending logic on school reopening.
It's mind-bending.
Mind-bending logic. Those damn data again. Joe Biden's campaign didn't want to hear it. They didn't want you to hear it either. School was dangerous. Period. Donald Trump claimed the opposite. Therefore, it was too dangerous to send your kids or for you to decide to send them. Watch.
Ignoring how the virus spreads, risking teachers and parents' lives, going against the advice of experts.
It's had very little impact on young people.
Do you trust him to do what's best for our children?
Hold it. I like in the middle of your anti-Trump commercial, he says the truest words ever spoken, which has had very little impact on young people. And you're like, Exhibit A. Exhibit A. The globe is round, the sky is blue. Aha. Aha. Very little impact on young people. You put that in your commercial. You want to know why he said that? Because that's very little impact on young people. But you guys don't want to, you want to follow the science?
It's just science.
It's just science. It's just science. What happened to the all the global warming shit, all the climate change shit? Aren't we just supposed to follow the science? Don't you guys want to just follow the science when it comes to kids and COVID-19? All right, go ahead, Matt.
This is not a test.
Yeah, going against the advice of experts. In this country, that's no longer allowed.
Experts.
Even, and maybe especially when the experts are completely wrong. What's the message? The message couldn't be clearer. They're not your kids anymore. If they were your kids, you could make the key decisions about their lives, but they're not. Those kids, your former kids, belong to Tony Fauci now. Tony Fauci, America's parent. He'll make the decisions about your kids, thank you very much, in conjunction with the nation's Uber mom, who, by the way, is also 80 years old, Mrs. Nancy D. Pelosi. Watch Mrs. Pelosi fret about the health of our children.
Are you confident that students and teachers will go back safely to school in the fall?
No, I think what we heard from the secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty. This is appalling. They're messing. The president and his administration are messing with the health of our children. Going back to school presents the biggest risk for the spread of the coronavirus.
All right. She's setting policy, everybody. But okay, she's partisan. What's CNN reporter doing? Doesn't CNN reporter no follow-up fucking questions? You got no questions. This is the biggest risk. This presents the biggest risk for kids.
The single greatest.
The single greatest risk for kids is sending them back to school. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi and CNN, you just nod your head. No follow-up questions? No thoughts about that? The single biggest risk is almost zero? And by the way, what else does Nancy Pelosi have in store for us that we should listen to? Should we listen to her next time she talks about a risk, the single biggest risk? Jesus fucking Christ, people. How do you even pretend these people are people? All right, go ahead. Sorry.
If that's not criminal, what she just said, we may need to redefine what it means to commit a crime. 60 million school-age children affected by a decision that was wrong, and many of them hurt for life. But we just blow right past it and allow political leaders like that to blow right past it with phrases like the health of our children. What happens when you lock children in their rooms in front of screens and prevent them from experiencing human contact? Has Nancy Pelosi ever been asked that question? Has she ever wondered about the answer? According to the Centers for Disease Control, a total of 522 children between the ages of 5 and 14 died of suicide in 2017. In that same age group, only 42 children have died from the coronavirus so far this year. What are those suicide numbers going to look like if we continue to take Nancy Pelosi's advice about the health of our children? We already have some indications of that. Future years will reveal the whole picture, and you can be certain it'll be horrifying. But for right now, with incomplete data, here's what we know. In St. Paul, Minnesota, for example, 40% of all grades given this year have been Fs. And you can be certain they're grading lightly, but it's still double the normal amount of failures. In Fairfax County, Virginia, the number of middle and high school students with failing grades in 2 or more classes has increased by 83%. The number of students with disabilities who are failing 2 or more classes has increased by more than 100%. In a lot of school districts, huge numbers of kids never even registered for online classes. Do you have kids? Do you know anyone who does? They're learning nothing. Those are real consequences. If you want to know the health of a society, look at its young people, look at its schools. These are obvious points that are being roundly ignored, and anyone who makes them is attacked for making them. We're going to look back on this moment in shame. Back in June, we interviewed Dr. Scott Atlas. He was then a member of the White House's coronavirus task force.
Now, it's a pretty simple equation. Of course, it's hurting kids to keep them at home. Of course, it's hurting brown and black kids, the kids you talk about the most, to keep them at home. And it affects them disproportionately. All right. So then what's the motivation? I mean, how do you justify this? How do you rationalize this? So Nancy Pelosi, this is not dangerous. And everyone at CNN and LA fucking Times and New York Times, we all know it's not dangerous. The data's out there. You go find it. Go do it. Hey, teachers unions, it's not dangerous. So what are you doing? Why are you harming kids? Why are you, in fact, harming kids in the name of safety? I've told you guys a million times, this fucking umbrella of safety, it'll fuck your shit up because the fucking pussies use it. They use this umbrella of safety to fucking rule, make their fiats and decrees, and fucking crush you. That's what they're doing. Everything's in the name of safety, right? Everything's in the name of safety. And then in the name of safety, I can shut your shit down. No walking on the beach, no laying down on the beach, shut your business down. No eating outside. Why? Why can't I eat on the patio? Safety. Shut it down. So as long as I have fucking safety in my back pocket, the safety of the kids. Really? Where's the data? Where's the data about eating outside? Where's the data about kids going back to school? Oh, you don't have that. But you just become some sort of perpetual hall monitor where you get to put on the safety sash and then we have to fucking obey. And who are the people obeying? Why is everyone listening to these idiots? They clearly have an agenda. So, Dawson, you want to know what the upshot is?
Tell me.
How is it you can lie to people? How is it you can be CNN? How is it you can be Nancy Pelosi, LA Times, New York Times? How can you just lie, and hurt kids? It's simple. It's a simple, super simple equation. You don't say, we need to defeat Trump, we need to get Biden in there because of policies. You say, this guy's Hitlerian, and he's a dictator, and he's going to put his boot on the knee. He's going to put his knee on the neck of Americans. And then, once you establish that narrative, well, then who cares if the kids rot at home for 6 months? It's a small price to pay. I mean, what if you'd gone to Nazi Germany and you'd want, hey, what do you want? You want Hitler to take over and start up concentration camps and begin World War II? Or would you mind if the kids stayed home for 6 months? Well, every sane person would go, well, we'll just keep the kids home for fucking 6 months and then we'll get rid of Hitler. So once you paint with the Hitlerian brush, once you paint with the dictator brush, once you paint with that, he'll do irreparable damage to our culture, our society, and the environment, well, then you get to lie all you want. And that's what CNN did. CNN is a news organization with reporters. It's not a bunch of fucking produce clerks. These are reporters. If you wanted to find out about hydroxychloroquine, you could do it in 10 minutes. You could find out just how safe it is. But what do? They put a whole fucking bank of experts on there to talk about how dangerous it is. Now, stupid or liar?
There you go.
They're not stupid. They all have advanced degrees. They're lying. Why are they lying? So Hitler doesn't take over. There you go. That's the narrative. That's how you work it. And by the way, that's why you make him into Hitler. That's why you turn your opponent into a racist Hitler. Because once your opponent is a racist Hitler, then that justifies anything you want. So news anchors for CNN, just fucking swallow your pride and just go eat shit every night and lie. Just lie. And if Nancy Pelosi says patently untrue things that are insane, you just nod your head. Because it's all in service of not having Hitler in for a second term. And that's how it works. Now, that's why you guys got to be careful out there. When you start calling everyone a racist, why are they calling everyone a racist? Well, they're not going to win the fucking argument about kids going back to school. They're not going to win that argument, but you'll win every time if it's with a racist. And that's what you just saw. All right. I do not know where, who's calling in here, where Jake Paul went to. We've been trying to get him on the show for a while, but Dawson, any parting shots?
Yeah. Regarding the teachers' unions, I believe that, I'm not totally sure, but I believe that the teachers' unions have a better chance of getting everything they want. They believe they have a better chance of getting everything they want if Biden is in office. And I think their goal from the beginning was shut it down, hold everybody hostage. By the time we drive them crazy enough, they're just going to give us whatever the fuck we want just so we'll reopen the schools.
Yeah. Well, there you go. The heroes.
And part of that is, no more charter schools.
Oh, yeah. No. They're I think the teachers' unions are the largest voting bloc. It's like the largest group of voters. All right, everyone. They're heroes. And they're noble people who got into the profession because they love children.
And they're deliberately harming children.
That's right.
For political means.
Yeah. In New York, the unions. So here's how it goes. The unions say, no, we're not going back into the classroom. de Blasio needs the teachers' unions to vote him in, so he doesn't pressure them. It's interesting. They asked Joe Biden about it in a press conference, and he laughed it off and walked away. All right, everybody. You don't think these people, first off, do you think these people care? You think they care about your kids? You think Nancy Pelosi cares? You think CNN cares? You think de Blasio cares? You think they care? I don't. Because if they cared, they'd follow the fucking science, which I've been yelling about for fucking... It became insanely clear very early on to me that this wasn't doing anything to kids. All right. Well, we'll bring in... yes, go ahead.
There's one more news story that broke today. I'm trying to find it on Twitter, and I can't right now. But that one L.A. County supervisor. Did you hear about this? I guess it was on Tuesday of last week. They held a supervisors meeting, and they all voted to shut down restaurants 3-2.
Outdoors.
Shut it all down. And immediately following that meeting... Supervisor Keel, I believe. I'm trying to find it. Immediately after that meeting, she went out and ate at the Il Fornato or
Gary's got it
there
for
it
you.
is.
Hold on, let me hit a spot and then tell me about that.
This is wonderful.
Of course. Oh, and look, can it go any other way? Is what I'm asking. I mean, Newsom's kids have been in school, huh? All right. First, let me tell you about Thompson Cigar. Whether you're working from home or kicking back after a week, you want to relax. And a nice premium cigar is the way to do it. Thompson Cigar Company has deals and selections for you. I had a nice night a couple of weeks ago. Went over to Dave Rubin's place with his husband and had a gourmet meal. And afterward, we all just sat by the fire pit and smoked the cigar with Prager. Build your own 5-pack with over 300 different options to mix and match. And check out Thompson Cigar Tour. 5 different blends delivered to your door monthly, plus insane cigar deals via email daily. They have such a selection, 12,000 plus cigar options, and number one choice for premium cigars in the U.S. because they deliver the best customer experience. Thompson Cigar, right, Dawson?
Sit back and take a break from all the craziness with a cigar from Thompson Cigar. Now, for a limited time, Thompson is offering 15% off orders over $75 or more, or 20% off orders over $99. To take advantage of these incredible savings, simply go to ThompsonCigar.com and use promo code Carolla when you are ready to check out. The website is Thompson, ThompSon, cigar.com, and use promo code Carolla.
Jake's team is trying to grab him. They apologize. Gina and Bald are on hold. So what should we do? You want to take a break?
Let's take a break. Back? Let's bring in Oh yeah, you want to hear Dawson's story about the supervisor?
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's all right. So yeah, just mere hours after voting to shut down all in-person dining, Sheila Kuehl went to go eat at a very high-end Italian place in Santa Monica. I bet Bryan has been there many times. Il Forno.
What about the rules?
And she said, when in the vote, that dining in is the most dangerous thing you can do.
Well,
and then immediately after the vote,
but to be fair, she said it's the most dangerous thing you can do. Not me, not her.
That's right.
Not Her Highness.
And I mean, how much longer are we just going to sit here and be lied to?
I have no fucking idea what's wrong with everybody. I go on Twitter every night, call everyone a fucking pussy, and everyone thinks I'm insane.
And I favorite and retweet many of those. I don't get nearly the heat you get.
I don't know what the fuck's wrong with all you cowards.
You guys, a lot of people missing pussies. Spines these days.
Oh my God, it's fucking blah. Like I want to fucking throw up.
And by the way, I don't have a spleen. I get things first and worse. Yeah. I am immunodeficient, and. I wear a mask where you're supposed to. I don't where you're not.
Yeah.
I'm not a pussy. I haven't changed my life.
I have.
And life is good.
I have fucking pussies tweet me all the time. Like, you want to go to the emergency room and clean ventilator hoses for kids that are dying. And I'm like, fuck you, pussy. What the fuck happened to people?
Twitter also gives people a very, very false sense of armor.
I get it. I don't blame anybody. I blame everybody. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with everybody. Fucking wake up. You don't know what's going on? Wake the fuck up, everybody. Jesus Christ. And you guys think you're fucking counterculture because you obey? Jesus Christ.
And the other thing is you and I are working. Our jobs are relatively unaffected, except you can't travel as much. But, so it's not like most people in our position would not really care, I guess, because we're working. We're good.
Some fucking retard tweeted me and went, oh, yeah, Adam doesn't care about. Adam wants people to go back to work because he's rich. I'm like,
and he's got a mansion. That's what it said. Yeah, because he can be in his mansion.
Hey, fucktard, I'm fine.
Right.
All I got to lose is my reputation. All I got to lose is everyone hating me.
All you got to lose is your dignity. Hold on to it.
I'm rich and I have a job. I go to work every day. I'm not talking about me. I don't have a little brother who works as a busboy at a restaurant. I got no fucking skin in the game. I don't know anyone in the restaurant industry. I know Mark Garagos. That's it. And Mark will land on his feet. Do not worry about Mark. I have no reason to say open up the schools, open up the rest. I have no fucking reason to say it. I have no teachers in my family. I have no one who's employed in the restaurant industry. I have no fucking skin in the game other than these people are lying to you. It's wrong, and you guys are fucking cowards. That's the skin I have in the game. Other than that, I should have just shut up because it would help me to shut up. I could stay in the good graces with all the pussy comedians.
Right.
But I didn't get into this to fucking do that.
Well, you did a nice little piece on this in I'm Your Emotional Support Animal.
It's all in
Hang
there,
on to
people.
your dignity, people. It's all you really got.
It is all you fucking really have. All right. Let's take ourselves a break. We'll bring Gina and Bryan in. We'll take some calls, and we'll do that right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam, Carl from Lodi. Hey, driving to work this morning on the big sign over the freeway says, "Don't drive intoxicated." Man, take notes. That is pure genius. What are they going to think of next? All right, man. See ya.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
All right, Bryan and Gina have joined. RJ Cutler, who's a pretty celebrated filmmaker and documentarian TV producer. We'll talk to him about the new Belushi doc, which I hear is fantastic. I have to go watch the trailer. Bryan watched it. Bryan, you learned some things about Belushi?
Yeah, man. First of all, it's really good, obviously. Secondly, details his whole life, which is only 33 years. I did learn some things about Belushi, which, I've ad nauseum gone on about how much I love SNL from back in the old days. Did not realize, I knew that Chevy Chase was kind of that breakout star of the first season, which is why he left to do movies and stuff. Did not know that Belushi and Chevy had like a rivalry. And I think it was more one-sided, like, Belushi was like legit jealous, and there was a resentment. Like, he looked at himself as the funnier comedian, as the better actor. Like, he was from Summer Stock. He was the youngest ever hired for Summer Stock. And he's an actor, not a comedian. And he's like, I have the chops. Why is he the breakout star? This is ridiculous. And as soon as Chevy Chase left, Belushi became the Belushi we all know, with the samurai and the cheeseburger. He became sort of the de facto star of the show.
Chevy Chase struck me. I never really got his full sort of comedic chops. Like, I got I'm Chevy Chase. Like, I got this, like, a personality more than a comedic actor, more than a character player. I mean, maybe you would rather in a weird way, have that. If you had a wish for your child, maybe you'd rather them just be that person. You know what I mean? Yeah. That thing where, I don't do accents and I don't really do impressions and I don't write that much and I'm not a great actor. I'm just me. I'm
people
me.
like my vibe.
Yep.
Well, in a way, there's tons of people who can do great accents and characters. And, like when I did sketch comedy for all those years, there were guys and women who could they would do 3 different types of English accents and Cockney, and they would just do everything. And they were so versatile and they could do impressions and they could do everything. They're fucking working at a Jamba Juice right now. Like there's a lot of those people. There's not a lot of like Joel McHale's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's just, hey, look at me, I'm me. And maybe a lot of it is an aesthetic, but a lot of it is this sort of comfort in your own skin. Like it just seemed like that guy seems really comfortable.
Chevy Chase was always Chevy Chase, no matter what he was doing.
Yeah, Barack Obama's that way. It's like, look at that guy. He's so comfortable.
His impressions suck.
Yeah, but he's comfortable as shit doing Barack Obama, and that's what Chevy Chase was. But yes.
You know what the documentary did not explicitly go into, but I got this impression. I'll be interested to talk to the director about it. To that point, Chevy Chase represented a very old school style of comedy. He was good at sketch and he was good at whatever, but with being more of he was more like Dean Martin wasn't hilarious and a chameleon. He was Dean Martin, you know what I mean? Like these guys were themselves. And Belushi really represented a real like watershed moment for comedy. Like he did things that were unpredictable, like things that we've come to be used to now with Chris Farley and on and on and on. He was doing it in 1974 and blowing people's minds.
Yeah, there was like the difference between Shecky Green and then Mort Saul or, I'm trying to think of whoever the
like a Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce, right? It just, and I guess the difference between Marlon Brando and like the earlier actors, like all of a sudden there was this change. It was, acting wasn't acting anymore. It was like this natural thing with pauses and long moments and the actors, method and all that kind of stuff. And I guess comedy, we all know that took place with stand-up comedy versus, Take My Wife, Please versus this conceptual stuff. But I never really thought about it in terms of sketch comedy. But yeah, that's true. And it's funny. Chevy Chase always kind of played Chevy Chase, and Belushi never played Belushi.
Yep, you're right. They have interview footage of him with Gene Shalit and whoever, and Gene Siskel, all the Genes.
All right.
And he's very he speaks in a way you're like, oh, that's I guess how John Belushi spoke.
Yeah, it's funny. The thing that was so interesting about watching Belushi in those early days is the rare time where he'd play the suburban dad, where he'd put the glasses on and he wore the cardigan. That to me was more jarring a character than playing ninja or samurai warrior or samurai deli owner or something. It always felt weird to see John Belushi acting normal.
And footnote, credit to Chevy Chase. He did participate in the documentary, had a lot of nice things to say about him. And you can see at this point how someone would, big time or whatever because they didn't get along or there was friction or whatever. And to his credit, he participated.
Bill Murray didn't. And
he was not. He was in archival footage, but no, he was not an interviewee.
Yes, and that was one of the things August wanted me to ask RJ, which is why didn't Bill Murray participate?
America's most affable comedic actor.
Well, with Bill Murray, it's always a wild card. Like, we couldn't get hold of him because you can't really get hold of him.
True.
Because he was wandering into a bar mitzvah at a Hilton and surprising the bar mitzvah boy or just doing something random.
But did he not participate? You know what I mean?
I don't know, but I do know this. I'll tell you structurally, it's a bit of a weird documentary because there's no other person on camera being interviewed. They're all interviews over the phone for a book that never materialized. So I don't know if they couldn't get them. I don't know what it is, how it manifested itself, but everyone is like audio recordings over like archival footage or animation or something.
Jesse, 42 from Stockton. Jesse?
Hey, Adam. How are we doing?
Well, how are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for asking.
Good.
So, in response to your yesterday's episode, I work out at the docks here in Stockton, the Port of Stockton. And,
is that where they shoot all the Journey videos?
They possibly, yes. Quite possibly.
Hey, 5.5 coming down the docks. Woo! Would you like?
Where you gonna be tonight,
me,
girl?
Would you like me to watch me play some air electric piano? I bet you would.
Yeah, check out this stringy hair.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so
I love the conceit of that dock. That dock is like, hey, 5.5 coming down the dock in pumps. You ever see a dude with no guns who cut the sleeves off his T-shirt and is going to play the air piano? Well, watch out. Today's your lucky day.
Too.
Yeah. By the way, when a 5.5 with teased hair and pumps is strutting down the docks, she's a prostitute.
Yeah.
It's your shift is over. You got to drive the forklift, sweetie.
No, she's a gun for hire.
I just love that video. All right, where the hell were we? Sorry, Jesse, you got me going.
No worries. So yeah, we are starting to conform with the California's EPA regulations, which means that we're no longer going to do things like ship coal in or out. So that's going to change, and then we're also moving to electric vehicles. So my first shift that I had in a while due to COVID was the other night, and we're unloading large Tesla coils that weigh about 3 tons apiece, and the new Caterpillars that they are lift trucks they give us out there are made from a company called Wiggins, and they are all electric.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a picture and I tweeted it to you and to Loxamana, but they have these fancy light markers on the sides now to show you where your space is going to be, so you don't hit anything. But the oddest thing was the sound that they make now. They don't when they move, and they especially go in reverse. There is no more of a beep. It's more of think about a beep if it was coming through an old stereo with a broken woofer.
That's
how it sounds.
Is it better?
Is it better or worse?
Very muffled. It's a muffled, but it's so odd, and it hits a frequency that it makes you turn your head.
But it doesn't bug everyone else who lives by the docks? I don't know how many people live by the docks. So
no, if you're within, pardon my neighbor's dog, if you're within 50 feet, you're going to hear it. If you're past 50 feet, it's going to be a muffled noise that you won't even really pay attention to.
So this company that makes these forklifts, they must be European.
I'm not sure. I believe they might be actually a U.S. company because we use both Caterpillar and Wiggins.
Oh,
I believe Wiggins is a U.S. company.
Well, look up Wiggins. Well, good. I'm glad if we start appropriating this technology, that'll be a good thing. On the other hand, I don't live by the docks, so it's probably not going to impact me. But who knows? Maybe my world will fall apart, and I'll have to move out to the docks.
But I want to let you know too that we actually make some really good money. My brother-in-law's out there, my sister-in-law's out there, and my father-in-law retired from out there, and they're all doing about 150.
Longshoreman is a surprisingly good gig. Mm-hmm. I would be. Yeah. I think if you took longshoreman and you put it up against other jobs, you'd be surprised. Like school teacher, fireman, cop, they make all more than that. But they probably make, dental hygienist and shit like that, nurse. I think they do better than a lot of professions.
Is it because they have the best union?
My wife's a nurse, and she's been a nurse for 15 years, has a bachelor's, and she's in management now, and she doesn't make as much as her brother. And he's out there as a walking boss.
But he's a dude. I mean, come on. That's important.
83 cents on the dollar.
Haven't you been watching Leave It to Beaver? Hey,
but actually, there are women walking bosses out there now. I worked with her that night that I was speaking of. Her name was Tammy, if you're listening ever, she likes the show as well. And she's been a walking boss for about 10 years now, and she's making just as much as my brother-in-law. So.
Did you said you're unloading Tesla coils? Did you say?
Yes, the flat metal steel that gets rolled out in the other countries like China and Japan, that gets rolled into giant coils. That if you go to the picture, you'll see that they're about 4 feet tall when they're rolled up, and then they cover them in aluminum, and they weigh up from anywhere from 2 tons to 6 tons total.
What are they used for?
Well, they use them to ship to the plants in Fremont and Hayward, and they use those to stamp the doors and the other parts of the body out to weld together.
Oh, the Tesla coil. See, when I heard Tesla coil, I was picturing putting my hands on it, my hair standing up.
Yeah,
you know?
The electricity project? No.
Yeah,
we all
Tesla
refer to them as Tesla
This
coils.
is
That's where they all go.
This is raw steel that gets stamped out and made into the Tesla body parts.
Correct, yes, and it's basically the finest steel that they can find throughout the world that gets shipped to them. So
Thanks, Jesse. Well, what would they say? We've done what Juan Valdez did with coffee beans. We searched the world to find the finest steel and put it in the doors of your Tesla. Yes, Gina.
Hey, real quick, since we're talking about cars, I just have to give you a little odd footnote to my car saga. All of my two things.
Hit with a chunk of cinder block, perhaps.
Yeah, someone
Big
threw
dent,
off an overpass.
Big dent on top of the driver's side fender near the windshield.
2 big dents.
2 big dents.
And so now I took it in today, and now I have a rental, and now when I turn the car on, all the lights go on, check engine, dismantle this, disable this, uphill is engage. All the lights are going on, and they said, stop driving it right now and bring it in. And last night, driving home from KFI, I've done this 1,000 times. I'm on the 170, just going home into the valley, pitch black. It took me a few seconds to realize what I was looking at, but coming up on me at 70 miles an hour, I was coming up on it, was a flat black SUV parked in the right-hand lane with no lights on. Flat black. Almost slammed head first into that thing, swerved like a motherfucker. The next guy had to swerve away from me, and we all kind of went around it. And I don't know what's going on in the world right now, or if it's just me, but it just seems like there's just so much odd shit happening on the roads. I'm afraid to leave the house.
This is a Final Destination situation. You cheated death at some point.
And now you
I'm
owe
scared.
the Reaper.
That's right.
That's right.
The flat black thing, which everyone's wrapping their SUVs, the Range Rovers. The flat black thing has always vexed me, which is it doesn't look good because when I grew up, you'd say he got a shiny new car. You'd put the word shiny before the word
shiny
car.
Cadillac.
Shiny new Cadillac. So the idea is a car would glisten. So flat, sort of the opposite of that. You just murder it out. Like you try to be a badass, but it makes you look like a jackass. But the thing that's always vexed me is the flat black helmet. The guys who ride the motorcycles. What could be less visible? There's nothing higher up on your bike than your helmet. In terms of being rear-ended and visibility, that helmet is huge in terms of visibility. Flat black, you disappear into the night air. And then also, this is SoCal. It gets hotter than shit outside. My dog is black, Philly cheesesteak. The other day, he just went out and laid out in the backyard. He'll just go out and lay out in the sun. And when you touch him, his coat is hot because he's black and he's just out in the sun.
Absorbing.
He's just fucking wearing that flat black helmet around, just cooking. It's like a crock pot for your brain. You're just stewing your brain in the heat. You see these guys in traffic in L.A. in July, and they're just wearing the flat black helmet. It's not hotter than shit. You don't want a white helmet, you fucking idiots. It's all attitude. That's all things. I'd rather be uncomfortable and invisible and keep my retard attitude. Yes, Bryan.
Fun fact related to the previous caller, the Wiggins Company, which you thought might have been fancy European, right here in Southern California.
Wow.
Oxnard.
Good on them. Braden, 50, Glendale.
Hey, Adam, Gene, Bob. How you guys doing?
Hi, Guy.
Hey.
Hi, Guy. Gene, I am so glad you're okay. This comes days after AJ said, we're not seeing stalled cars on the side of the freeway anymore.
Right.
It's true.
This shit was parked. I mean, it was terrifying.
Yeah, we're getting to a new world order. This is becoming more and more Mad Max Road Warrior every day with the shit falling out of the freeways, the shit being the tents on the side of the freeways, everything. So we're getting there. All right. Hey, speaking of Los Angeles, well, I know that was in Arizona?
Yeah.
On the way too.
But, you know, we're all in the same neck of the woods.
Got it. So, Adam, your talk, recently I noticed your shift of talk about leadership here in Los Angeles, kind of going from Garcetti to our LA Board of Supervisors. Now, Mayor Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, really is a passive calling. He most likely is just the representative of Los Angeles, but the people who are now calling the shots, who have been calling the shots, are the LA Board of Supervisors, which Dr. Drew has mentioned to you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, and maybe one of you guys can bring it up, we have 4 of the 5 are women, and Mark Thomas will be replaced in a few days by a 5th woman. Adam, we are going into a new direction
That's progress.
Here with women.
We want progress. I want more women of color deciding to shut the restaurants down. Well, look, it's a pretty simple equation. If you were setting policy in this city, there would be different opinions between my wife and me, or there would be different opinions between Dawson and Gina. Look, anyone who's ever raised kids, there's a difference of opinion. It's usually the women err on the side of safety. It's a wiring thing. The guys are a little more go out there and skin your knee. I would say to my kids when they were 8, go walk and get froyo on a Saturday. My wife would say, you can't let them walk alone to get froyo on a Saturday. Now, is one right? Is one wrong? I don't know. I'm right, of course. Of course, I'm just facetious. But if then you got 5 and they were going to set policy, then they would probably err on the side of safety. The same way if you had 5 Navy SEALs and 5 guys who wore those wooden bead bracelets that guys now inexplicably wear, maybe those fucking pussies, well, then there'd be a difference. Yes, there would be a difference. And maybe there needs to be a balance. But just like there needs to be a balance between the people who are setting policy and the people who own businesses. Look, there's obviously going to be slightly different agendas there. So if you just said to everybody, should we raise the pack of cigarettes $5 and give the money to the March of Dimes, and nobody smokes cigarettes, then you go, yeah. Seems like a good idea. Catherine Barger and Janice Hahn both voted to keep restaurants open. Ooh, well, that's good.
It was a 3-2 vote.
Yeah, what did you think about getting one of them on the show, Janice or Catherine?
I would be fine with me. I've found that most everybody I've wanted to talk to about any policy never wants to come on the show. But
well, it's the shine the light theory I put out yesterday. It's like you can skate under the radar for a long time as a fringe politician, but God forbid someone start to ask you tough questions because your subject came up.
Who is the fella that's leaving, Braden?
Mark Ridley Thomas.
I think that was the coward pussy who was explaining.
He was the coward pussy.
He is. He was explaining that a lot of the outdoor dining establishments were turning into indoor because of the partitions. I think that was the fucktard who said that. But I don't know. Max Spada with Mark Ridley Thomas, maybe.
He said it was a guy, and that's the only guy.
That's the only guy. Yeah. That's the only guy.
He's leaving. He's leaving and getting replaced by someone, Raman.
I get it.
Just in a few days.
All right.
Yeah, so we have 5 women, Adam. 5 women. How's that?
Well, it's fine as long
Brandon's fired up.
As long as 2.5 of them think like dudes, then we'll be fine. But if all 5 of them think like yentas, then we got a fucking problem. Yes. Thank you.
So this to me is a little existential is not the right word, but for lack of a better word, sort of an existential question. I'm going to get fucking hammered for this by the Twitterverse, but who cares? So it's interesting because it does seem odd. 5 women is something to talk about. That's odd. But it comes back to, like, we pulled the camera back a little farther, how much throughout the millennia has the white man been sort of the standard, and then you get your offshoot, you get your token, you get your one black guy in the Valtrex commercial, you have your couple of women on the Supreme Court, and everything stems from the white man being the party standard.
Mm-hmm.
And so is this, even though it can go all the ways you just described and make sense, is this progress in the sense that we are not seeing people as, okay, we start with the white man and then we fill in the blanks to shut everybody else up? Because if it was an all black male council, that would be something to talk about as well.
Yeah. We're going to have to get to the point where we want the best qualified people in the positions of power.
Indeed.
Sad that we're gonna have to get there someday.
Yeah, that one day. And it's insane that the president of the United States picked a vice president who could very well be president because she's a woman and black. What if you did airline pilots that way? Like, don't we just want the best person in that position? And when you announce, I want to get a woman, and I want to get a woman of color, and I want to make her vice president, aren't you kind of saying out loud, this shall not be the most qualified person for this job?
Well, and I don't know if you saw the other headline, Biden's all-female White House communications team proves the old boys club has to go. That's NBC.
That's awesome.
Is that the other side? Is that, I guess I'm being naive, is that the pandering?
It's all pandering, but here's what I found out. Once you take women or black men or minorities or people of color, whatever it is, once they enter that world and live in that world, they just become the same as fucking Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
You think Susan Rice is different or whomever? Like, find any black woman who was in the Obama administration or Trump administration, or whatever. They just become
Condoleezza Rice.
They've just become that. They just become the man. They all just kind of become the same thing.
It attracts a certain personality type, regardless of gender. Out of it.
Right. So, in a way, it's like it's kind of ridiculous that we go, we want a woman because she's going to represent feminine qualities or something. They never really explain why we want a woman. And then those women get into power, and it's like, Janet Reno. She's got ovaries. Okay. Let me hit Simply Safe. RJ Cutler's waiting for us. Simply Safe. Break-ins are on the rise during the holidays, so Simply Safe is having a huge holiday sale. 40% off any system and a free security camera as well. Whether you're traveling or staying put for the holidays, check out 40% off plus free security camera deal before it ends this week. We love Simply Safe. I use Simply Safe. We've always used Simply Safe. They've been a sponsor for over a decade here. U.S. News & World Report calls it the best home security of 2020. CNET Editor's Choice Award, by the way, an arsenal of sensors and cameras. Set it up yourself in about 30 minutes. Then Simply Safe security specialists monitor your home around the clock, sending emergency help if there is an alarm. It's Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
Get 40% off Simply Safe plus a free security camera today by visiting simplysafe.com/Adam. Go today. This deal is this week only. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. Simplysafe.com/Adam.
All right. RJ Cutler, who made Belushi the documentary, and by the way, many other acclaimed documentaries, is on hold. We'll take a quick break. We'll interview him right after this.
Adam Carolla's I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, has over 1,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. Here's one.
This book is present in comedy and wisdom. This Adam wrote months ago, the now coming to pass and reality.
Yep, sounds about right. Pick up I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, and leave your 5-star review on Amazon. Get all the links at adamcarolla.com.
RJ Cutler is on, filmmaker, documentarian, TV producer, and beyond. The doc is called Belushi. It's available now on Showtime. And I just saw the trailer because I was traveling around a little bit in the last couple of days. So I shall watch it tonight when I get home on Showtime because I love a doc and I love Belushi. And it's 100%, so says the audience on Rotten Tomatoes. So how bad can it be? 85 with the critics, which is still well into the fresh zone. So congratulations, RJ.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we don't like the reductive nature of Rotten Tomatoes, needless to say, but we are very gratified with the response to the film.
How did you've made docs on many subjects, often political? So how'd you settle on Belushi?
It was proposed to me by my producing partner on this project, a man named John Batzik, who had he and I had made a film together about Marlon Brando, and we were looking for a next project. And he revealed to me that he had, for the better part of a decade, been pursuing Judy Belushi to get the rights. And he thought that with my directing and with the Brando film as a piece we could share with her, that the time might be right. And sure enough, it was. Interestingly, she had fended him off in many ways over the decade, one of which was in encouraging him to have lunch with Jim Belushi. And when John arrived at that lunch, he was, as I understand it, he was told no under certain terms that there would be no documentary made, and he went back to the drawing board. But when we approached her as a team, she felt the time was indeed right.
Well, I've made a few documentaries, and you don't need the family to sign off. I mean, you can still make the documentary, but on the other hand, there's a lot of archival footage and personal artifacts and things like that can be really helpful if you get their blessing. So is it that, meaning they can't prevent you from making a documentary, but if they cooperate, the doc could be much better?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on what kind of a film you're making. We tend to, the movies I make, I think entirely, all of the films I've made, I've done so with the willing cooperation of the subject, though I have final cut and retain final cut, and they're not involved in the making of the film. But as this film is an example, without Judy, we would not have had access to the oral history that, when you watch the film, you'll see is kind of the foundation of the film. We had access to all of these interviews that were conducted in the wake of John's death with his closest friends. So you wouldn't have had Penny Marshall and Carrie Fisher and Harold Ramis and and even for the folks who are still alive, it's 35 years since his death. The voices you hear in this movie are voices that are recorded within a few years of his death. It's very different.
Yeah.
So was that part of a failed book project that I assume many years before this documentary materialized?
It was a multi-faceted project. It was a reaction, really, and then the reaction has borne a number of different results. It was a reaction to Bob Woodward's book Wired, which Judy felt failed to communicate who the real John Belushi was, and as a result, she, working with a couple of friends of hers, one of whom is a journalist named Tanner Colby, set out to conduct this oral history over many years. In about 2004, I think 2003, a kind of tip of the iceberg of that work was published in a book called Belushi. And then those audio tapes went back into the box and sat around in the basement of Judy's house in Martha's Vineyard until I discovered them and used them in this film.
Is Belushi, we always talk about celebrities and celebrity estates, and how much money Steve McQueen's estate earns, long after he's gone. And of course, there's the Marilyn Monroes and the Elvises and the Michael Jacksons and stuff like that. How much is there in the Belushi estate? I'm not sure, or maybe you don't know, but I mean, is his wife comfortable? Does she have to work? Is there royalties and that? I mean, they did music, which I guess is a pretty big part of it. Do you know about that?
I don't. That's something, I mean, I don't know. Beats
Fair
me.
enough. Yeah.
Keep in mind, Adam.
And I don't think they know much about my finances.
Keep in mind, Adam, they didn't write those songs for the Blues Brothers. Most of them, anyway. Most of those
yeah.
were like covers and standards.
Yeah,
great
yeah.
covers, great standards.
No,
but,
you're right. You're right. They don't get publishing on that. Yeah. Well, when you make documentaries, we can do the math.
Can I ask you?
Can you really? What do you want to go? Documentaries versus podcasts?
Well, personally, I make a lot more doing podcasts than I do making documentaries, but that's just that's
sure
just
you do.
me.
I'm sure you do. We do it for the love. We
Yes.
documentarians do it for the love.
Listen, for me, if you can break even, you're for me personally, you're doing okay, but you're adding to your catalog and you're getting those stories told. Yes, Bryan.
Question about the tapes you mentioned that were, in the basement in Martha's Vineyard. What was the quality of those? Did they have to be touched up, or were they damaged, or were they pretty spanking new?
Yeah, it's such a good question. There was a range of quality, and a lot of the audio had to be restored, but it gave the film a texture that I really liked. You feel somehow as though a little bit voices from the past are arriving in your present moment. I had started to talk to people about John, people who knew him, and were relating their memories to me, as I say, 3 and 4 decades hence. And I found them all to be kind of lost in the foggy haze of days long gone by, and the stories were a little ossified. They were kind of telling me the stories that they tell when they tell their John Belushi stories. And then when we listened to the tapes, even though the quality wasn't pristine, I felt very much like we were in the moment, very present, very raw, very, very Belushi. People really were connecting to the emotional heart and soul of their experience.
That's so serviceable when you say it like that. It's like that they tell the story they pull out at a cocktail party, and we're not as interested in that.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna, you're gonna make a movie about John Belushi. You gotta, first of all, you gotta bring your A game, and second of all, you want the rawness. The whole idea with this film was to make a movie about what it was like for John Belushi to live. I was very not focused on the what has become the kind of traditional focus of his life story, which is the salacious stuff around how he died.
Right.
He died, we all go sometime. So his was early and his was tragic, but what made it so was the life. And we really focused on the life. And these interviews that were done in the years following his death really gave us the ability to do that. And there wasn't a lot of John, because he was a very private guy. And when he gave interviews, he tended to be very performative. So what we did have, though, were letters that he wrote to Judy throughout his life, which are brought to life in the film by Bill Hader, who reads them beautifully. And then we also have a lot of audio recordings of John that we brought to life through animation. An animator named Robert Valley, who's an Oscar-nominated Canadian outlaw animator. He's not allowed in the States for reasons I'm not aware of. He did the animation, and it's fantastic. He did a great job.
I wrote down in my notes the animation was great. I really enjoyed it.
Do you have other subjects that you're thinking about lined up in the queue? Because I guess when you make docs, you kind of have to have a little bit of a queue lined up. You did Marlon, you did Belushi. Are there other performers or other folks that we would know that you're thinking about doing a doc with?
Well, I'm finishing a film as we speak about Billie Eilish. I spent a year filming with her, and that film is going to premiere on Apple TV Plus in February, and it's also going to be in theaters. And we're really excited about it. It's called The World's a Little Blurry.
She's a really unique talent, right? Like the little I know of her, like so young and so much, old soul, I guess, or something.
Yeah, very special. You know, we're not. I'm still finishing the film, so we're not really talking about it. But it's a you know, you can imagine it was an honor to experience it all and spend the year with her, and I'm really excited about sharing the film with the world in February.
Gina,
Quick Billie Eilish question, just because I've heard this, but I'm wondering if you can confirm it, and if not, that's fine too. But I love the lore around hearing that when she and her brother were collaborating in their house, they would go in her mom's room, in the parents' room, and the mom would sleep on the couch just to give them room to record and to really, have the space. Can you confirm that?
Well, come watch the movie in February.
Okay. I can't wait. I love the idea of this being the family business and everyone really believing in each other's talents.
Well, I as I say, I look forward to your seeing the film.
Absolutely.
Hopefully theaters out here in February. It's a crazy thing because we're out in California, so the notion of going back into a movie theater seems bizarre but insanely alluring. Like, out of all the stuff I really missed with this thing, it's going and seeing a movie in a theater and having that shared experience. And so hopefully by February out here. Where are you zooming in from, RJ?
I'm in Los Angeles as well.
Oh, okay.
And,
so hopefully you'll be able to go in the theater as well. What, as far as Belushi, the human being, what were some of your takeaways after combing through all this footage and letters and getting to know him probably better than anybody?
Well, I'll share three what I think are iconic moments from his life that reveal the person. At 3 years old, he used to walk around the neighborhood knocking on the neighbor's door. And if you were home and you answered the door, little John Belushi from down the block would come into your living room and put on a show for you. And so that's one. You think about that, what kind of a 3-year-old that is. The next image is that from the earliest age, they say when you invited John Belushi to come somewhere, he'd show up with 9 other people, no matter what it was. You invited him to football practice, he'd come and he'd have an offensive line with him. You'd invite him to play, to be in the show, he'd show up and you'd have to find parts for 9 other people. You asked him to be the drummer in your band, he'd show up and he'd bring his own audience. This was John Belushi. He was always gathering people. And then the third thing is, people don't really realize this, but John was the director of the National Lampoon Radio Hour. And as such, he gathered together people like Harold Ramis and Gilda Radner and Bill Murray and Brian Doyle Murray for the first time in their lives. And he had, during that process, though he wasn't part of the radio hour, he became best friends with Dan Aykroyd. And those folks worked together and spent time together and formed a sense of humor together and a sense of really, I think, destiny together that became the foundation of Saturday Night Live. And for all of the credit that is appropriately due to Lorne Michaels for what Saturday Night Live was, is, became, has been, will always be this cultural, monument. It was John Belushi who first got that gang together. And if you think of those three things, I think you start to get a picture of the man that's pretty special and unique. He was a visionary. He was more than a kind of, anarchic performer. He was really somebody who saw into the artistic and comedic soul of others, and together he and his dear friends created some extraordinary things.
Did you try to run down Bill Murray for this thing? I know he's pretty elusive or hard to get hold of, but there must have been attempts to get hold of him. Were you able to do that?
Well, as I say, once I kind of decided on my process, which was to rely on the treasure trove of tapes that were recorded decades ago, with the exception of Judy Belushi, I didn't even pursue any other contemporary interviews. It wasn't my goal. I wanted to hear the voices then. Judy was different because her interviews kind of form the narrative spine of the film. It's a love story too. So I did not ask Mr. Murray for his participation, but I hope he has seen or will see the film, and I'd love to know what he thinks.
I bet he will, and I wouldn't even know how to begin to contact Bill Murray because I hear he doesn't even have people, and maybe he carries a burner phone around. I have no idea how one would.
I don't know. I remember reading an article once about a director who wanted to track him down for a film and had to leave a voicemail somewhere, and then one day his phone rang, and it was he got him. He got him for his film.
It's an interesting doc.
I don't know. I don't know any of that.
I was just going to say whatever that Bill Murray doc is kind of an interesting doc as well. If people like docs.
Yeah.
Yes, Bryan.
In the wake of the Rotten Tomatoes game from 2 or 3 weeks ago when we did Garfield, and everyone was like, how did Bill Murray get roped into Garfield? Must have been a cash grab. People had tweeted me. I did not realize the story. Bill Murray took the role because the screenplay that showed up on his desk said written by Joel Cohen. It's like, oh, I love the Coen brothers. I'll do this. Turns out it was a different guy, and it didn't bother researching who it was.
Yeah, not a bad idea if you're going to go into the screenwriting business to change your name to Joel and Ethan Cohen.
Yeah, if you're make your middle name and Ethan, and then it'll work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me give a plug. Belushi is the name of the doc. It'll be available. Well, it is available now on Showtime, and you can shoot RJ Cutler a tweet at RJ Cutler as well. And then we'll look forward to the Billie Eilish one coming into theaters February 14th, maybe, and on and Apple TV as well.
Apple TV Plus, February is the month, and we're very excited.
Well, I can read that you're very proud of that piece and excited about it. And I couldn't imagine a more interesting young subject. I mean, I don't know. Most of the time, documentaries about people under 25 are sometimes not that interesting because there wasn't that much life there. But Billie Eilish has got to be 19 and a half or something. But so much. It just seems like there's so much there.
Come see the movie.
All right. We're not going to step
Apple
on
TV
anything.
Plus.
Thanks, RJ Cutler. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Great to see you.
All right. Let me hit Solo Stove, and then we'll do the news. Whether you're camping in the woods or hanging out in the backyard, nothing like a roaring fire. Solo Stove is a really nice piece. Stainless steel. They do fire pits and stoves engineered for adventure. Stainless steel construction designed to regulate airflow and burn more efficiently. So little smoke. You'll a lot of fire, little smoke, and it's a real high quality piece. Like I said, it's stainless steel. Like it looks like it goes on a jet engine. No campfire smell on the clothes or the hair. Nothing left but the ultra fine ash because it burns so clean. And it's easy to clean up, portable, and built to last. Easy to light with a few bits of starter. Lifetime warranty on every purchase. It is Solo Stove, right, Dawson?
No one needs a reason to gather around the fire. Solo Stove just took away any reason not to. And now you can get $10 off when you use promo code Adam at checkout. Just go to solostove.com. And remember, you get $10 off when you use promo code Adam.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and do the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad. Trouble in the Middle East. Celebrity drunk meltdowns. Deep news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Lot going on today. Bill Cosby's lawyers were in Pennsylvania's Supreme Court asking the judge to throw out the 83-year-old sex assault conviction. Lawyers for Cosby, who's more than 2 years into his sentence, doesn't feel like it's been that long, for drugging and molesting a woman, believe that there was certain evidence and testimony in the 2018 trial that the judge should not have allowed, including testimony from 5 other accusers. Arguments in court streamed live on YouTube. I watched it. It was pretty boring and a little choppy, but I thought that was interesting. And it's probably what Bryan's laughing at, but it's not like, wait, we didn't get to talk about this thing that would have exonerated him. They just didn't like that they said too much.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's sad. I mean, it's like I'm always kind of torn because on one hand, like you want a system. On the other hand, when Nicole Brown Simpson is calling 911 screaming, he's going to kill me a month before we find her with her head chopped off, and they go, that's inadmissible. I go, I don't know.
Feels material.
Feels like I feel colored by it. I feel as if that would inform me. By the same token, if you can present me with a home video of these two canoodling in the corner watching their kids' basketball game a week earlier, that would also affect me in a different way. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this seems like it's got to be, just a Hail Mary to appease him because nobody's going anywhere.
I can't imagine he's going anywhere. And also, it's kind of it's an interesting time we're living in, which is nobody can escape the social media and the public opinion. It's like the fog. It's everywhere. It goes under all the doors. It gets into every window. Like it comes down the chimney. Like it cannot be escaped. Mm-hmm. And if you're a judge or if you're Anthony Fauci, it's going to get to you. And so you think about a job. Like you think about, I can't remember what it is. It's a thing that drives Mark Garagos insane, which is the judge that was up north that I think presided over the case of the Stanford or Cal kind of date rape thing. Like the chick was overserved and kind of passed out, and then some guy came up on her, and I'm not sure. I don't know if he raped her or what he was doing. I don't know if there was intercourse or I don't know what he did. He sexually assaulted her. And then the judge on the case said, well, here's the mandatory minimums or whatever as prescribed by the judicial whatever. And he gave it to the guy and they didn't like it. The crowd didn't like it. The media didn't like it. The social media didn't like it. The fog didn't like it. And that guy got fucking run out. And then I think he ended up getting kicked out of his like tennis club and stuff now. And it's like when they were interviewing or when Fauci was in front of Congress like 5 months ago and Jim Jordan was saying, all gatherings, football games, churches, gatherings, outdoor, indoor gatherings, bad. Right. What about protests with Black Lives Matter? And he's like, It's like, well, what about it? That's a gathering. I can't. Well, that's the fog. That's the social media. He doesn't want to get fucking yelled at. So it has penetrated judges and health directors and everybody. It's affected everyone, and it's going to color the decision making. Fauci's going to say something different because he doesn't want to deal with the fucking mob out there. And if you're the judge and you're going to be the one that's going to free Bill Cosby, you got to think long and hard about that, regardless of whatever technicalities or information coming. You're going to be that guy now. That's going to be you.
And that decision will be around longer than Bill Cosby will. I mean, he's 83 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Who is that judge that Garris always gets rip shit about this guy because they ran him out of his job as a judge, and then he tried to get a job as a tennis pro, I think, at a country club, and they ran him out of that one too. Right? So, all right, now that guy's got colleagues, right? So the next time a case comes around that involves date rape, and you gotta preside over that, are you going to be thinking about being run out of your fucking livelihood? I'd say you're going to factor it in.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting place, right? That's a little bit of a new world for us. Gina, you have a boxing story?
I do, and it is a weird one. And today's weird sports story is brought to you by Lids. Visit lidsloyal.com/Adam for your 25% off coupon on your next in-store purchase. So there's a crazy Russian boxing story. A 139-pound female mixed martial artist, her name is Darina Madyuk, got into the octagon with a 529-pound man named Grigory Chistikov and knocked him.
Is he some guy or is he a sumo wrestler?
You're going to have to see for yourself. Okay. Knocked him out in 90 seconds. There was some controversy even surrounding the fact that these two were in the octagon together. Very bizarre. So here's a clip of the end of the fight. This is after the man had Darina in a headlock for over 40 seconds. So I skipped that part, and this is basically when they break up and she starts wailing on him.
Даже непонятно, как называть их. Наверное, да, правильно будет все-таки говорить бойцов из уважения. К Дарине Маздюк, очень отчаянная девушка. Ой, пробивает Гришу, полное ТВ, добивание в партере.
Близко к финишу, Дарина!
От того, чтобы выиграть этот исторический бой.
Рефери не торопится останавливать, потому что огромные плечи. Стучит сам Гриша. Остановка боя. Теоретический нокаут в этом странном.
I got to beat off.
That's one of those guys that once you get on the ground, it's pretty much over. He's not getting back up.
I think if he gets on the ground on a tile floor in his entry hall, it's pretty much over.
That's what I meant, just on the ground anywhere.
Yeah, if he's not wearing one of those medic alert necklaces, that guy ends up on the ground. He ain't moving.
That's that.
That's a lot of dude.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny to see him sort of walk her around in a headlock for a while, but it went on for so long. I just figured we'd show you the end of the fight. But he had her in a pretty good headlock against the cage.
Was that in Russia, you were saying?
It was.
I always
and even there, people were disturbed that they let this woman fight this man.
It's kind of weird in Russia, like with events like this. Like, what year is it? Is this the future or is this the past? Where are we? I could make an argument for the past and the future.
Correct.
It's like Star Wars.
Yeah,
people are like, is it the future or is it the past?
If you're making,
long time ago.
This would be the event that was taking place in the background of some Blade Runner Part 7 movie.
Yes.
This would be the sporting event. You know, it's never
100%.
It's never Canadian football. You can visit lidsloyal.com/Adam for your 25% off coupon on your next in-store purchase. All right, what else we got, Gina Grant?
Laverne Cox, you probably know her best from starring in Orange is the New Black, says she and a friend were attacked in a park near her Los Angeles home. This is Griffith Park for you locals. And that the assault was an anti-transgender hate crime. She says...
Is that a Jussie Smollett situation?
I was waiting. I was wondering what the over-under was on somebody saying that because... Listen up.
I don't know anything about it, but when I hear attacked, I no longer think attacked anymore.
Well, in this case, she does claim it got physical, but that's all we know.
Well,
we don't.
Physical.
There's no footage.
I mean, see, this is kind of our problem with changing all the verbiage all the time. Like, if you were attacked in a park, you were attacked in a park. Like when
throwing punches.
Right. And somebody has going to have a black eye and like a split open lip and a torn blouse or whatever, but let's figure it out.
Well, this is where things may get hinky again. I don't know. This is I'm just reporting what she said. So she was in Griffith with a friend, and she says, we passed this guy, and the guy very aggressively asked for the time. He then asked my friend, guy or girl, because I guess it was not obvious, gender-wise who she was with. The unnamed friend cursed at the man who began throwing punches, but fled when the actress called 911, but she hung up. That's what she said in her video anyway. So she has an 11-minute video about this. Here's just a very short clip that she posted on Instagram.
The guy aggressively asked for the time.
And then started throwing punches.
You got the time, motherfucker?
Well, basically she said, hey, what time is it? In whatever way he said it. And they gave him the time. And then he looked at the friend and said, guy or girl. The friend said, fuck off. And then the guy started throwing punches.
To be fair to him, when you get the time, you got to know whether it's from a man or a woman, because women are late all the time, you know?
Add 10 minutes, yeah.
So you got to add 10 minutes. So that's a factor.
It's good science.
I would also argue if you're wandering through Griffith Park on any given day, you don't need to know what time it is. Like, I got to make that board of directors meeting coming up, and I got to be out in Century City. Got to go to the penthouse. It's a shareholders thing. I got to be there
by 11 p.m.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, here's a snippet of the video.
It was just really, really weird. And like, I'm having these moments of like, should I have like recorded him? Should I have like, and this is all like, and when this stuff happens, it's so quick and it's just like, wow. But I'm safe. My friend is fine. The guy, like, you know.
Well, hold on a second. If you're safe and your friend is fine, why are we watching this fucking video? Why did you make a video? You're safe. Your friend is fine. You encounter a weird dude in a park. Why is Laverne Cox
transgender?
Oh, okay.
Born a man and identifies as a woman.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, we'll continue.
The guy, like, you know, laughed after he, I guess my friend de-escalated it. Thank you so much. I always said thank you to my friend.
By telling him to fuck off?
Keep him anonymous. My goodness gracious. Wow. It's
Hold on.
It's not safe.
His friend would be a horrible hostage negotiator. Slit the kid's throat. I'm hungry.
But he's stuck in there. He's crying.
All right. De-escalation. All right.
Did they say psych?
Wow. It's not safe in the world. And I don't like to think about that a lot, but it is the truth. It's the truth, and it's not safe if you're a trans person, obviously.
How does one know this person's a trans person? They seem to be a pretty good-looking female.
I was going to say, to Laverne's credit, if you have to ask, good for her.
Yeah, I mean, it's this. There's so much of this going on where it's like they were against a trans person or against the black person or against the Hispanic woman or something. It's like a lot of these people, I wouldn't know your nationality. Like, there's a lot of sort of middle-aged women who kind of do their hair up in the same way. I would have no idea if you're Hispanic or Middle Eastern or black, like a lot of it. And if you're doing a very nice job, especially at the park, especially with some dude who was probably, you know, a couple of sheets to the wind, you know, or had fentanyl in him or whatever the fuck it was, I don't know how you would know that was a transgendered person. I don't think you would.
We don't know about this person friend she was with. And again, you know, we talked about this when it happened. How are we to say, you know, we're going to look at every story now with a, thank you, Jesse.
Yes. Today, Ellen Paige announced she's transgender. Oh, sorry. Chris didn't know.
Kill Chris.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, what? Good producing instincts.
Yeah. Ellen Paige. Go
It was
ahead,
not
Gina.
in the news you sent me today.
Because it broke right after I sent it to you. It didn't have any elements to it, so I didn't think I had to send it to you.
No reason to kill me.
Hey,
Now
Chris.
Elliot.
Just because I saw it on TMZ last night, keep track of that auction that's coming up with the Cruise Top Gun helmet and stuff.
Okay.
I can't remember when that thing's going off, but we should keep after that. Sorry, Ellen Paige.
Ellen is now Elliot.
Mm-hmm.
And hard to know how to describe because Elliot says they are transgender and identify as non-binary, but use the pronouns he and they. So I'm in a little bit of a corn maze on how to refer to Elliot. So I will just say Elliot. And Paige asked for Paige. They did a long statement online, and part of it asked for patience right now. Paige says, despite feeling profoundly happy and knowing how much privilege I carry, I'm also scared. I'm scared of the invasiveness, the hate, the jokes, and the violence.
She's Griffith Park too.
That's right.
I don't know. Then maybe if you're scared of repercussions, then why are you announcing it? Like, why not just get on with your life? Too many proclamations I've noticed. Like, if you're transitioning, then transition. I feel, but she's a public figure. I guess people want to know. I don't know. She worked much recently. What's some of the more recent stuff?
She's in a show that I do not watch called The Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
Oh, that. Mm-hmm.
And X-Men, Juno. What was the big one? Inception. Thank you.
Has it been 10 years since Juno?
Oh, well more than that.
More? That's crazy.
Juno is like 04-ish.
It's funny because in my old dude mind, Juno feels like a newish movie to me. Not new, 07. But it doesn't feel new to me, but it's amongst the newish movies in my old guy head. All right.
But I think, as you talk about control the language, this is a very interesting one because like I said, if you consider yourself transgender and non-binary and want to use the pronoun preferences he and they, then that's confusing.
Casting a wide net.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
Like Prince used to go by the artist formerly known as Prince. Could we just do the artist formerly known as Ellen Paige?
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
The Ellen formerly known as Paige.
This stuff is
Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to yell at you.
It's so fucking stifling. Like you just go, I wouldn't know what to say. I'd be scared to discuss Elliot Paige. Like I'd be scared to bring it up. I'd be scared to talk in front of them. And it's this weird kind of a language control which ends up stifling people. It's up there with giving your kid a bizarre name that no one can pronounce. It's up there with with putting all your pronouns out there, and everyone's got something different, and now everyone's on eggshells, and the next thing you know, everyone's scared to talk. All right, let me hit Geico here. Do you own? Do you rent? Well, you do one or the other. Want to bundle? Want to bundle those policies with Geico? Make it easy. Go to geico.com. You take your renter's insurance or your homeowner's insurance along with your auto policy, and you put it together, and you save a bunch of money. When you go to geico.com, you get a quote, see how much you could save at geico.com. What else we got, Gina Grant?
Well, before we move on from that, a quick piece of trivia that, I guess you could call it stunt casting, but it was perfect. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if any of you ever watched even a single episode of Orange is the New Black. I liked the first couple episodes. I haven't watched it in a while. But when they were showing everyone's backstory and they showed Laverne Cox's backstory as a man, that I was like, damn, okay, so she does full drag, I guess, because that is obviously her in this, recreation backstory, whatever. No, Laverne Cox has a twin brother, and they hired the twin to play her former self on the show. And I remember being very intrigued by that. Yeah.
It's a good idea. It's Forrest Gump-esque.
It was Tom Hanks' brother who did the running scenes. I'm almost positive.
I never heard that.
Me either.
Unless I'm remembering something wrong, which is totally possible. I have a brain tumor. Chris, look that up. I'm pretty sure that there were some exterior long shots of Forrest running that were his brother.
Wow.
That is correct.
Pretty sure.
That's correct.
Wow.
I'm back.
Did not know that.
Jim Hanks.
Jim Hanks. Let's recreate that conversation. I'll be Bryan, you be Jim Hanks. I'll be Tom Hanks.
Hey, Tommy, what's happening?
I'm just here on the set working on one of my many, 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 many films. How's that school play going you're directing?
Oh, really well. But the kids, it's a little choppy. They're 14 after all, but coming together.
Man of La Mancha's. That's a handful for a 14-year-old, I got to tell you.
It's a lot, but these are good. These are smart kids.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't have come out there, and I know you wanted me to come out there and kind of give them a pep talk before opening night, but Rita had, Clooney wanted to come by, and we had a couple of those Hornitos. What do we have? We had a couple of those tequilas. Casamigos.
Oh
I
my
got
God,
so
they're
buzzed
so
there.
smooth.
I forgot. Yeah. How's the Herbalife treating you? Is that
good?
you making some cash?
moving some units. I mean, it's breaking even. You got to pay in, obviously, for the product. But I think as more and more of my contacts, or clients, as we call them, spread the word, I'll be above water in no time.
How are your joints?
Much improved. Much improved. You know how stiff I was.
Yeah, I know. After that skiing thing. You never paid me back for that vacation, by the way. But anyway, that's not why I called.
A gift. Okay.
Not everything you get on Christmas Day in an envelope is a gift per se. But that may be on my assistant. Maybe I didn't have Gerald make it clear. Anyway, so your joints are good.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, lubricated. Yeah, moving good. Yeah, look at that.
Back to the same form you had when you set the state 440 championship in high school?
Well, I don't know about that, but I can run a little bit. I can get on the road.
Well, listen. In the past, I've kicked down a little cash for you for running errands for me and Rita, of course.
Have I mentioned how much I appreciate that?
Well, now I got a role for you, and it's a big movie.
Wow.
Very important on-screen role.
I'm honored. I can't wait to hear more about it. Is it a role I'm going to have to prepare for, or?
Stretch out in the morning. How are your acting chops these days?
As good as ever. You take that for what it's worth.
Okay, got it. That's what I thought. Will do. All right. Do you have those dolphin shorts and those Nikes I bought you in 1982?
Prized possession, of course I do.
Why don't you bust those out of the humidifier and just come meet us out on the set? We're shooting out in Louisiana.
Does this have something to do with the role?
It's got something to do with the run.
Okay.
There's a lot of sprinting in this movie.
It's like a Chariots of Fire kind of remake situation?
It's more running from bullies, running to get to your girlfriend who's riddled with AIDS, running from your past, running to a shrimp boat. So it's a lot of running.
It's a lot of metaphors going on here. Is this going to be shown on screen? Or
it's going to be a big movie.
Okay,
Big movie. And speaking of running, I need to run lines. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand. I assume maybe we can run them together. Do we share any scenes?
You wear my clothes.
In the same scene, we're like matching. We're twins. That'll work.
No. I give you my clothes. We're not in the same. You've always wanted to be me.
I don't know if that's necessary.
Come on now.
That's true.
All right.
You got me.
You're gonna get your chance, and
happy day.
We're gonna give you $65 a mile.
I don't want to run errands. I mean, I don't really.
No. We'll be filming you. We'll be filming you. Just be running your ass off.
Is this for behind the scenes, featurette about the making of the movie?
You always been talking about dropping that last 15.
It's all year, hanging around here for the last 10 years.
You're gonna come home as an Ethiopian.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna send you a coach one-way ticket on Spirit Airline to land out in Louisiana Tuesday.
One way? How am I gonna get home?
Well, you run. What's that, Rita? Oh, Clooney's here again. All right, I got to roll. We got to drink the Casamigos.
All right, good talking to you, bro.
Yeah, adios. And scene. Thank you. Tom Hanks can't be a dick. That's the problem with that recreation.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Picture on screen of Jim and Tom.
They are this.
Uncanny.
I mean, the picture's old, but they're the same dude, right?
Yeah, and
Jim around. Yeah.
Jim also does voice work for Tom. He does Woody in for toys and video games.
Really?
Toy Story,
I've heard him several times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sloppy seconds, Tom. Not a bad job.
This is like your cyber Adam. When you don't want to do the gig.
Ryan, what are you going to do about that?
There was a guy who got really famous for doing just Eddie Murphy as the donkey in the whole Shrek franchise for McDonald's.
Really?
Cartoons. Yeah, there's a market for that. If Eddie Murphy doesn't want to do it, there's somebody else that can pick it up easily.
That makes sense. All right, let's do one more, Gina Grant.
All right. Well, you don't want to come between a man and his Thanksgiving leftovers, and you certainly don't want to do it without a fork, because a Chicago man has been charged with murder after a fatal fight that began when he began digging his hands into the Thanksgiving leftovers, according to authorities. Fox News reports that 28-year-old James Dixon is charged with killing his 52-year-old
baby doll.
Baby doll.
Vincel Jackson, who was the boyfriend of the Thanksgiving party host. Jackson was trying to escort Dixon out of the house because he put his hands in the leftovers on Friday. The fight moved to the porch, where Jackson was stabbed at least 9 times.
Definitely not a Jew.
Yeah.
9 times.
9 times.
9 times.
Dixon fled, but was caught with a blood-covered knife.
Oh, did he have that smoking gun in his hand?
Yeah, the turkey knife.
Right.
Defense attorney Patrick Ryan said Dixon was properly defending himself. A judge set bond at $350,000.
Here's what I know about eating leftovers with your hands. You have to be drunk. That is eating food with your hands is a drunken move, and eating leftovers, like when you're reaching, we've all done it. You got the good buzz going. You go, fuck, I'm just getting a handful of congealed stuffing in here. Yeah.
Indeed.
Eating with your hands is a drunken move. So I can tell you alcohol was a big part of that skirmish.
Oh, is that how the fight moved onto the porch and then somebody got stabbed 9 times?
Whenever something moves onto the porch, it always involves booze as well. Especially
sex. What I really...
Yes.
This is going to be disgusting, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know what I really miss eating with my hands because I don't eat it anymore? I miss the next day or 2 days after the container of cold spaghetti and pinching a couple strands and just lowering them into your mouth. I miss eating spaghetti with my hands.
All right.
That was the best move.
Let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, last but not least, Simply Safe. Break-ins on the rise during the holidays. Simply Safe's having a huge holiday sale. 40% off all systems and free security camera. So go to simplysafe.com/Adam. We all use it here. They're a great sponsor and a great company. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. We're going to have Johnny Brennan from the Jerky Boys on tomorrow, which is the Jerky Boys are very interesting to me because before there was social media and the internet, there were the Jerky Boys who were on the East Coast, and my roommate Ralph in La Cañada or La Crescenta had a Jerky Boys tape.
Yeah,
like
tapes got passed around.
Somehow this stuff just went. It's going to be weird explaining to my kids how stuff went viral before there was veins.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's good.
Thank you.
Analog viral.
So we'll get into that tomorrow. You can go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. Naples, Florida, Burbank coming up, Oklahoma City as well. And again, you can also check out Chassis and see some of my docs, 2 S's and a Y. So until next time, I want to thank RJ Cutler and Gina Grad and Dawson and Bald Bryan saying mahalo.